It was a normal day in the dorm, or so it seemed. The boys had gone to dance practice, but since Jin hadn't felt well that morning, he chose to sleep in. After napping for a couple of hours, he decided to go to the nearest cafe to get something in his stomach. He dressed in his all-black outfit, mask and snapback to cover his face so he wouldn't be recognized, and began walking down the street since the cafe wasn't too far from the building. Once he got to the small coffee shop, he ordered his usual daily dose of caffeine and sat at a table near one of the large windows of the establishment. He gazed out at the street, watching the strangers pass by before unlocking his phone and scrolling through Twitter. After a few minutes of reading his other members' tweets, he heard a name being called by the barista. Chance! Out of curiosity, Jin looked up to see who the name belonged to. As it wasn't common when in Korea, he saw a dark, stick-like boy walking to pick up his coffee at the counter. Jin was intrigued by him, especially by his rather interesting fashion choices. A creamy orange sweatshirt paired up with some light blue distressed jeans and some old-school checkered Vans. He wouldn't be caught dead wearing something like that, Jin thought to himself. He watched the boy for a few seconds before his own name was called. He walked up to the counter to pick his coffee before looking over at the brown boy. He was kinda cute, well, in an ugly sort of way. He watched the boy walk to fuck. He watched the boy walk to fuck. He watched the boy walk to one of the couches near the center of the building and sit down. When he looked back up, the barista fuck, okay. He watched the boy walk up to one of the couches near the center of the building and sat down. When he looked up at the barista, he noticed she had a slight impatient look on her face and realized he had been staring for quite some time and was holding up the line. He bowed awkwardly and fuck. He bowed awkwardly and He bowed awkwardly and apologetically. He bowed awkwardly and apologetic. He bowed awkwardly and apologetic. He bowed awkwardly and fuck. Whatever. He bowed. God damn. He bowed. After thanking the employee for grabbing his coffee, he headed towards the couches in the center to sit across the mysterious boy. Jin watched Chance scroll through his phone, slightly chuckling himself while mumbling a low poop. What? This only puzzled Jin more as he observed the boy's actions. Jin found himself smiling a little as he studied Chance's features. He was so average, maybe a little below. His sparse beard and overgrown mustache, his huge bulbous nose, his wide, round bug eyes, and the ever slightly crusted fingers. Wow. Jin mumbled under his breath. He may have mumbled a bit too loud as the boy across from him shot his head up. After Jin let out his not so quiet exclaim of astonishment, he averted his eyes quickly, hoping Chance hadn't caught him admiring his visuals. He felt his cheeks heating up and decided to walk to the bathroom to calm down. After he got to the bathroom, he placed his hands on the counter, sighed. Looking in the mirror and pulling his mask down to reveal his flushed face, he turned to the sink to splash some cold water on his cheeks. But as he was doing so, he heard the bathroom door swing open. Jin quickly hid his face in some paper towels before looking up to see the boy from earlier staring straight at him. Sorry, excuse me, Jin, let out quickly, feeling my himself. What? Sorry, excuse me, Jin let out quickly, feeling himself melt from the boy's intense stare. Wait, the boy said, placing his hand on Jin's shoulder to stop him from exiting the restroom. Jin stopped before the door to turn to look at Chance, realizing his mask was still down at Chance's eyes widened. Are you Jin from BTS? He asked. No, of course not. Jin, Jin, fuck, this is fucking stupid. Jin nervously chuckled as he hurried past his mask back into his face, hoping Chance would drop it. Don't lie to me, Chance ordered in a threatening tone, placing his hand on either side of Jin's head, caging him against the bathroom door. Yes, Oppa, Jin squeaked out, fear in his eyes as he looked up at Chance, who was towering over him. Chance trailed one of his hands down Jin's body until he reached the lock of the door, twisting it until it clicked. He began stroking Jin's hair, kissing down to his neck until he got to the top of his shirt. He slowly laid his hands on Jin's torso under his shirt, feeling his soft skin. He heard Jin whisper a small, "Ow," as fuck, as one of Chance's crusty fingers scraped his side. Chance led Jin to the bathroom counter, placing him in the center before undoing Jin's belt, sliding his pants down and boxers down. Chance caught on his knees and took Jin in his mouth, bobbing his head, hollowing his cheeks while making eye contact with him. Jin threw his head back, grabbed out to Chance's head. Fuck, less teeth. Jin let out breathfully. Chance upped his pace and swirled his dry, wet tongue along Jin's member, brushing it along the underside of his shaft. Jin soon finished, and Chance's mouth was swallowed whole, since he had only eaten oatmeal for the past 3 days. Chance stood up, undid his belt, which looked like one of those restricting belts used at movie theaters to keep the lines organized. How hideous, Jin thought, silently. Chance then whipped out his own pickle. Wow, it's so tiny, like a little pepper, Jin exclaimed in awe. Chance pushed Jin back into the corner, placing his legs on his shoulders so he could have full access to Jin's hole. He placed his fingers in Jin's mouth, using the saliva to lubricate his little thingy. He slowly slid into Jin, who let out a loud gasp of pleasure. Oh fuck! Chance began snapping his hips against Jin's thick ass, making a loud clapping sound which echoed off the bathroom walls. Chance threw his head back, yelling Jin's name as he quickened the pace of his hips. Fuck, what is this? He felt Jin's legs shaking on his shoulders and knew he was close. Chance placed his head on the crook of Jin's neck, whispering, "Come for me," in his ear. Jin released all over Chance's shirt while he finished inside of him. Chance pulled out, slowly grabbing a paper towel to clean them off with it. Jin laid on the counter, too tired to speak, sweat dripping down his chest. Ugh, Jin breathed. That was really mediocre. Chance left out a laugh. Thanks. You're way better than my sock. The sounds of the two boys heavily breathing filled the room. Chance pulled his pants up and hit his cock, and then Jin did the same after a moment. Once the two boys were dressed, Chance helped Jin off the counter and unlocked the bathroom for him. The two walked out, in a busy cafe. Throw away the cups of coffee they left at the small table in the middle of the room. They walked out the shop, into the sidewalk where they exchanged numbers. Maybe we could see each other again sometime, Jin suggested. Yeah, I like that, Chance responded. The two headed their separate ways, and Jin walked back to his door with a slight limp and a smile on his face.